Make sure to like this video and hit that subscribe button right now to see much more content just like this.
The morning sun over West Texas did not bring warmth. It brought heat, harsh, dry, unforgiving heat that rose from the red dirt of Sterling Ranch in shimmering waves and made the distant fence lines look as if they were floating above the prairie. By 8 o'clock, 2 county sheriff cruisers were already parked outside the main barn. Their red and blue lights flashed silently across weathered cedar walls. A dozen ranch hands stood in a loose semicircle near the equipment shed, nobody speaking. And in the middle of them stood Marcus Vance, 42 years old, 15 years on Sterling land, 15 years of broken fences repaired before sunrise, sick calves carried through freezing rain, wild horses gentled without a whip, a mess, and summer nights spent sleeping beside injured cattle because there had been nobody else willing to stay. Today, none of that seemed to matter. Marcus stood beside his battered two-tone Chevrolet pickup with his hands resting quietly at his sides, while Sheriff Daniel Miller held a pair of handcuffs several feet away. Between them stood Brad Sterling. Brad had married Victoria Sterling 7 years earlier, becoming part of one of the oldest ranching families in Nolan County. Victoria had died 6 months ago after a sudden illness. Her father, Arthur Sterling, had passed away less than 3 months later. And in the confusion that followed 2 deaths inside one family, Brad had done what men like Brad always did when grief made everybody else weak. He had moved quickly. He had taken control of accounts. He had taken control of meetings. He had taken control of the ranch's relationship with the bank. And now, apparently, he intended to take control of Marcus's life as well. Brad stood beneath a spotless white Stetson wearing polished ostrich boots and a tailored denim jacket that probably cost more than most ranch hands earned in a week. He held several printed pages in one hand. 3 historic Crockett saddles, Brad announced, raising his voice so every worker could hear. A custom 4-horse trailer, nearly $80,000 in property gone in one night. Marcus did not answer. Brad turned toward Sheriff Miller. The equipment shed was opened at 2:13 yesterday morning. No forced entry. The security alarm was disabled using Marcus Vance's personal override code. Miller's face tightened. He had known Marcus for almost 12 years. They were not close friends, but Miller had seen Marcus pull strangers from flooded roads. He had watched him organize search parties for missing children. He knew that when old Mrs. Dalton's barn burned 3 winters ago, Marcus had been the first man on the property and the last to leave. But lawmen worked with evidence, and the evidence sitting in Miller's hand looked bad. Very bad. Brad continued. A traffic camera 6 miles east of the ranch recorded a heavy-duty pickup towing a horse trailer at approximately 2:30 in the morning. And yesterday afternoon, my accountant discovered a forged equipment transfer document inside Marcus's foreman cabin. A murmur moved through the workers. Marcus finally looked at Brad. Not angry, not frightened, just steady. That paper wasn't in my cabin when I left for the south pasture Monday evening. Brad smiled. You expect us to believe someone broke into your cabin just to frame you? Marcus looked toward Miller. I expect the sheriff to believe evidence when he finds it, and I expect him to keep looking until he finds all of it. Brad's smile disappeared. That attitude is exactly why you thought you could get away with this. Marcus slowly turned his eyes back toward him. Brad stepped closer. For years, Arthur let you behave like this ranch belonged to you. He trusted you with every key, every gate, every account number, every delivery schedule. You started believing you were family. A few ranch hands shifted uncomfortably. Marcus remained still. Brad leaned closer. But you weren't family, Marcus. You were an employee. There it was, the sentence Brad had wanted everyone to hear. Marcus's jaw tightened almost imperceptibly. Brad held out a white envelope. Your employment is terminated effective immediately. Marcus did not take it. Brad dropped the envelope into the dirt between them. You have 2 hours to remove your personal belongings from the foreman's cottage. After that, you are trespassing. Sheriff Miller finally spoke. Brad, firing him is your business. Arresting him is mine. Brad glanced at him. And you have probable cause. Miller sighed. He did. The security log, the missing property, the forged transfer, the traffic camera footage. Every piece pointed toward the same man. Miller pulled the handcuffs from his belt. The metallic click was louder than it should have been. Several workers looked away. Marcus did not. Instead, he reached slowly toward his belt. Miller tensed. Marcus unfastened a large silver buckle engraved with a lone star and a small horse beneath it. He stared at it for several seconds. Arthur Sterling had given him that buckle 12 years earlier, after Marcus trained a nearly unmanageable stallion named Copper Rain and rode him to a state working horse championship. Arthur had handed Marcus the buckle in front of the entire ranch crew. You earned this, son, not because you won, because that horse trusted you. Marcus had never forgotten the words. He placed the buckle gently on the hood of Miller's cruiser. Brad watched with satisfaction. Marcus extended his hands. I'll go peacefully, Sheriff. Miller stepped toward him. But I didn't steal those saddles. I know what you're saying. And I didn't take that trailer. I know. Marcus looked straight at Brad. The truth might take longer than a lie, but it usually arrives carrying more weight. Brad gave a short laugh. Save it for the judge. Miller reached for Marcus's wrist. Then a woman shouted from behind them, "Don't put those cuffs on him." Every head turned. Clara Sterling was walking down the gravel drive from the direction of the medical barn. 32 years old. Arthur Sterling's youngest daughter, dark hair pulled into a loose braid, faded work jacket open over a dusty blue shirt, boots stained from the barn. Unlike her late sister Victoria, Clara had never cared much for ranch board meetings or country club dinners. She preferred veterinary records, breeding schedules, fence inspections, and horses. Arthur used to joke that Victoria inherited his ability to negotiate, while Clara inherited his inability to stay indoors. Brad's face immediately hardened. Clara, this doesn't concern you? She kept walking. It concerns my father's ranch. Not anymore. She stopped in front of him. Brad was several inches taller. It did not help him. Sheriff, Clara said, without looking away from Brad. Marcus was not at the equipment shed at 2:13 Monday morning. Miller lowered the handcuffs slightly. You know that for certain? Yes. How? I was in the medical barn with the new quarter-horse mare. She went into early labor shortly before midnight. Marcus came in around 12:40 after repairing the south boundary fence. I asked him to stay because the mare was struggling. Miller looked toward Marcus. Marcus nodded once. Brad scoffed. That doesn't prove anything. Marcus could have arranged the theft beforehand. Clara finally looked at the sheriff. Marcus stayed with me until 2:45. Miller frowned. You're willing to put that in a sworn statement? Yes. Brad stepped in. She's his employer. Her testimony doesn't change the security log. Clara looked back at him. No, but this might. She pulled her phone from her jacket. Brad went still. Clara opened a photograph. It was dark and grainy. The image showed part of the equipment shed, the rear quarter of a large pickup, and the glow from the side gate. Miller took the phone. What am I looking at? A Ford F-350? Brad crossed his arms. There are 1,000 Ford trucks in this county. Clara zoomed in. Dark blue, chrome rear rims, cracked passenger side mirror. Something changed in Brad's expression, only for a fraction of a second. But Marcus saw it. Clara saw it too. She continued. Marcus drives a 20-year-old Chevrolet. Miller studied the picture. Whose Ford is this? Clara looked directly at Brad. I think it belongs to Wayne. The workers murmured. Wayne Sterling was Brad's younger brother. He lived near Abilene and ran a struggling freight company. Brad's face flushed. You think? I saw the truck come through the rear access road. In the dark. Yes. You couldn't possibly identify a driver. I didn't say I identified the driver. Brad blinked. Clara stepped closer. I said I identified the truck. Miller returned the phone. Do you have a photograph of the plate? Not clearly enough. So, right now we have a vehicle that resembles Wayne's. That's right. And Marcus has an alibi. Yes. Miller looked at Brad, then Marcus, then at the handcuffs in his own hand. After several seconds, he put them away. I'm not arresting anybody this morning. Brad exploded. What? I said I'm not arresting anybody. You've got a security code. And now I have a witness saying he was somewhere else. She's protecting him. Miller turned sharply toward Brad. Then I'll investigate that too. Brad clenched his teeth. Miller continued. I'm going to pull highway camera footage. I'm going to inspect the rear access road. And I'm going to request the full alarm system log from the manufacturer. Not whatever printout your office handed me. Brad's face changed again. Small. But Marcus noticed. Miller noticed too. Brad pointed at Marcus. Fine. Don't arrest him. But he's still fired. That is my legal authority as managing representative of Victoria's estate. Clara's eyes narrowed. That authority is being reviewed. By whom? By the board. Brad laughed. The board can review anything it wants. The bank doesn't care. The ranch is nearly insolvent. The workers grew quiet again. Brad looked around at them. You people want the truth? Fine. Here it is. Sterling Ranch is drowning. Feed costs are up. Our operating line is maxed. Insurance premiums doubled. We're carrying debt Arthur should have dealt with 5 years ago. He pointed at the empty equipment shed. And now $80,000 in property has disappeared. Marcus studied him. Brad was enjoying this too much. Not the theft, the panic. He wanted the workers afraid. Brad continued. If the bank does not receive a restructuring payment by Friday, it can freeze the remaining ranch accounts. A cowboy near the back whispered something. Brad heard him. Yes, that means payroll. The fear moved through the group immediately. Marcus saw it. Men with mortgages, men with children, men who had worked Sterling cattle for 20 years. Brad looked back at Marcus. You didn't just steal from me. You may have helped destroy every family standing here. Marcus stepped forward. Miller moved slightly between them. Marcus ignored Brad's accusation. He focused on one sentence. Friday? Brad hesitated. What? You said the bank freezes the accounts. Friday? Yes. Marcus looked toward Clara. When did they give that deadline? Brad answered before she could. Yesterday. Marcus stared at him. Before or after the saddles disappeared? Brad's expression went blank. Marcus knew something was wrong. Brad pointed toward the Foreman cottage. 2 hours. Marcus. Then he turned and marched toward the main house. Nobody spoke until the front door slammed. Marcus walked to Miller's cruiser and picked up the silver buckle. He wiped the dust from it with his thumb. But he did not put it back on. He slipped it into his jacket pocket. Miller approached. "I'm sorry, Marcus. Don't apologize yet. I was 10 seconds from cuffing you. You had evidence. Evidence someone may have manufactured." Marcus looked at the main house. "That's what worries me." Miller followed his gaze. "You think Brad planted the transfer paper?" "I think a man doesn't commit 3 separate crimes just to fire an employee he already had authority to fire." Clara heard that. She walked closer. Marcus continued. "If Brad wanted me gone, he could have removed me yesterday." Clara nodded slowly. "So, why frame you?" Marcus looked toward the western pasture. "That's the question." Miller took out his notebook. "I'm checking the rear gate. I'll show you where the old service road joins the main trail." Brad appeared briefly behind an upstairs window, then disappeared. Marcus noticed. "Sheriff, before you go." Miller looked at him. "Don't tell Brad what you find." Miller studied Marcus for a second, then nodded. 20 minutes later, fresh tire impressions were found behind the equipment shed. They were deep, wide, heavy-duty dual rear tires. Sheriff Miller crouched beside them while one deputy photographed the tread. Marcus stood nearby. Clara waited by the fence. Miller touched a section of broken wood on the gate. Fresh damage. A stripe of dark blue paint marked the cedar. Marcus stared at it. "That gate was repainted 2 months ago." "You sure?" "I ordered the paint." Miller stood. "I'm impounding the security control unit." Brad stormed from the house when he saw a deputy removing it. "What the hell are you doing?" "Collecting evidence." "That system belongs to the ranch. And the ranch is the scene of an alleged felony. You need a warrant." Miller held up a document. "Judge signed one electronically 10 minutes ago." Brad stared at him. Miller added calmly, "You called me here, Brad." Brad said nothing. "You wanted an investigation." Marcus saw Brad swallow. Miller carried the control unit toward his cruiser. "I'm investigating." When the police finally left, Marcus walked toward the Foreman cottage. Clara followed. "You don't have to leave. Brad legally fired me. I'm an heir. You're one board member. He doesn't own this place." "No." Marcus looked toward the main house. "But right now he controls enough of it to make trouble." Inside the cottage, Marcus opened the small bedroom closet. 15 years of life did not take long to pack. A few shirts, work jeans, boots, old photographs, veterinary notebooks, ranch ledgers, a framed picture of Marcus beside Arthur Sterling after the state championship. Arthur wore a straw hat and laughed toward the camera. Marcus was 29 in the picture, no gray in his beard. Clara picked it up. "I remember that day. You were, what, 20? Almost 21. You bet me $50 Copper Rain would throw me." Clara smiled faintly. "He tried. 3 times. You cheated." "How?" "You were too stubborn to fall." For the first time that morning, Marcus smiled. It vanished quickly. He took the photograph from her. "Your father gave me a chance when nobody else would." "I know. After my father died, I had debts. I had no college degree. Every ranch between here and Abilene wanted temporary labor and nothing more. Arthur hired me full-time after knowing me 3 days. Clara leaned against the desk. He trusted people. Marcus shook his head. No, your father tested people. Then he trusted the ones who passed. He looked around the cottage. If Brad is doing what I think he's doing, this theft is only one part. What do you think he's doing? Marcus sat at the desk. Your bank problem. What about it? You told me last month our calf sales were above projection. They were. Feed costs? High but manageable. Insurance? Expensive. Debt? Clara frowned. Arthur refinanced 2 years ago, but the payments weren't enough to bankrupt us. So how did we go from tight cash flow to Friday foreclosure? Clara stopped. Marcus watched her calculate. She had studied agricultural finance before returning to ranch operations. Numbers came naturally to her. Brad controls the operating accounts, she said, since Victoria got sick. Yes. Who reviews them? Our accountant. Whose accountant? Clara's face changed. Brad hired him. Marcus opened one of his field ledgers. I record every truck that enters this property. Clara stepped closer. Every truck? Every commercial truck. Feed, veterinary deliveries, equipment, livestock buyers. He flipped backward several pages. Last 6 months, we've had visitors who weren't connected to cattle. What kind? Marcus ran his finger down handwritten lines. Surveyors. Clara frowned. We didn't order surveys. I know. What company? Marcus turned the ledger toward her. West Meridian Resource Development. Clara went still. You know them? No. But her voice had changed. Marcus noticed. What? She looked toward the window. 2 weeks ago, I walked into Brad's office. He closed a file as soon as he saw me. And the logo was a black mountain inside a silver circle. Marcus tapped the name in his notebook. Beside West Meridian was a crude logo he had copied from the truck. A black mountain. Silver circle. Clara whispered. That's it. Marcus closed the book. Energy company? Oil, natural gas, mineral acquisition. They buy distressed land. How do you know? I worked on a financing case in Colorado involving one of their subsidiaries. Marcus leaned back. Distressed land. Yes. Meaning cheap land. Usually. The room became quiet. Clara looked at Marcus. You think Brad is intentionally pushing the ranch toward foreclosure? I think Brad framed me for stealing $80,000 when he could have fired me with one signature. Marcus pointed toward his field. Ledgers. And I'm the person who knows every road, every unused barn, every abandoned structure, and every outside vehicle that crosses Sterling land. Clara understood. He needed you gone because you noticed things. Marcus nodded. And if he wanted everyone to believe the ranch was losing money to internal theft, the trusted foreman makes a perfect criminal. Clara sat slowly. My sister married him. Marcus did not answer. She defended him. Still, Marcus said nothing. She fought with Dad over Brad. Dad never trusted him. Marcus looked at the photograph of Arthur. Your father trusted Victoria to make her own choices. Clara covered her face briefly. If Brad did this after she died, we don't know yet. She lowered her hands. But you believe it. I believe somebody used my code. Marcus opened a drawer. The question is how. His personal security code had 6 digits. He had never written it down. At least he did not think he had. Then his eyes went toward his old desk calendar. 3 months earlier, the security company had replaced gate sensors after a lightning strike. Brad had insisted that all management employees submit their codes so they could be reprogrammed into the new system. Marcus remembered filling out a form. He had handed it to Brad. Marcus closed his eyes. What? Brad had my code. Clara stared at him. You told Sheriff Miller nobody else had it. I forgot the system upgrade. Can you prove you submitted it? Maybe. Marcus dug through old papers until he found a carbon copy. Employee Access Reset Form. Name, Marcus Vance. Personal PIN, 481992222. Received by B. Sterling. Clara looked at him. That's enough. No. It proves he knew the code. It proves he could know the code, not that he used it. We take it to Miller. We will. Marcus folded it into his pocket. But first, I want to know where the equipment went. Clara stared at him. You're fired. I noticed. Brad will call the sheriff if you stay. Then we don't stay where he can see us. Clara almost smiled. Almost. Marcus walked toward the door. There are only 4 ways to move a horse trailer off Sterling land. The front gate. Camera. East Livestock Road. Washed out last week. South access. Locked behind the creek. Marcus nodded. And the West Service Road. Clara's expression changed. The quarry? Marcus nodded. The old limestone quarry had been abandoned in 1978. Most workers under 40 did not even know it existed. The access road disappeared through scrub cedar and dropped into a shallow ravine concealed from the highway. There were several old structures there, including a storage building large enough to hide a truck and trailer. Clara stood. I'm coming. No. Yes. No. It is my land. And if Brad is involved, we have no idea who else is. Which is exactly why you shouldn't go alone. Marcus stared at her. Arthur used to make the same face when he knew he had already lost an argument. Marcus sighed. Fine. Clara grabbed her jacket. We take my truck. No. Why? Yours is cleaner. She looked confused. Marcus opened the door. If we're going to crawl through an abandoned quarry, I don't want to hear you complain about scratching it. Despite everything, Clara laughed. It lasted less than 2 seconds. But it was the first normal sound Sterling Ranch had heard all morning. They waited until late afternoon. Sheriff Miller had taken Marcus's access form and promised to compare it with the security company's records. Brad stayed inside the main house. Marcus loaded his belongings into his Chevy and drove out the front gate in full view of everyone. Exactly as Brad had demanded. He went 5 miles down the county road, then turned onto an old cattle path on neighboring public grazing land. Clara was waiting in an older ranch truck. They drove west. The road narrowed as the sun dropped lower. Yellow grass gave way to cedar thickets. Marcus kept the truck slow. After 20 minutes, Clara asked, "How long have you known this road?" My father showed it to me when I was 9. Why? He said every piece of land has a place people forget. And this was ours? This was the Sterlings. Clara looked through the windshield. My father never brought me here. He didn't like the quarry. Why? Worker died there when Arthur was young. Clara said nothing after that. The final ridge, Marcus stopped. The old quarry spread beneath them. White limestone walls, weeds, rusting metal, and something new. A prefabricated steel shed stood beside the abandoned stone-cutting building. Clara leaned forward. That wasn't there last year. No. Who authorized it? Not me. A dark blue Ford F-350 sat beside it. Cracked passenger mirror, chrome rims. Clara's breathing changed. That's Wayne's truck. Marcus stared. There was no trailer attached, but tire marks led inside the steel shed. Another vehicle sat farther away. Black SUV. No ranch markings. Marcus took out his phone and photographed both. License plates. Clara zoomed in with her own camera. Got them. Let's go. She looked at him. Go? We found enough to call Miller. What about the saddles? We don't need to play police. Clara seemed surprised. Marcus started the engine. Then voices rose from below. Both froze. The steel shed door opened. Wayne Sterling stepped outside. Tall, thin, restless. Marcus had met him perhaps 20 times over the years and never liked him. Wayne lit a cigarette. Another man followed. Gray suit, no hat. Even from the ridge, he looked painfully out of place. The suited man pointed toward several rolled maps spread across the hood of the Ford. Clara whispered, West Meridian. You recognize him? No, but look. The man carried a leather portfolio. A black mountain was embossed on the side. Inside a silver circle. Marcus turned off the engine. Now we stay. Clara looked at him. You just said we don't play police. We're not. Marcus lowered the window. We listen. The wind carried fragments of conversation. Friday deadline. Auction timetable. Mineral rights. Brad promised. Clara reached for her phone. Marcus stopped her. No video from here. Sun reflects off the screen. She lowered it. They waited. Wayne threw his cigarette down. The suited man climbed into the SUV. Wayne remained behind. After a minute, the SUV drove away along a second road Marcus had not known was still usable. Wayne went back into the shed. Marcus whispered, "Now." They moved back downhill on foot, slowly, staying inside the cedar. When they were 100 yards from the shed, Marcus found fresh tire marks, trailer tracks. He followed them around the rear. A side door stood partly open. Through the narrow gap, Marcus saw leather. He raised one finger. Clara leaned closer. Inside were 3 handcrafted saddles, Arthur's saddles, and behind them was the missing horse trailer. Clara silently photographed everything. Marcus motioned back toward the hill. They had what they needed. Then a branch snapped behind them. Marcus turned. Wayne stood 20 feet away. He held no gun, but he held a tire iron. "Well?" Wayne said. His eyes moved from Marcus to Clara. "This is inconvenient." Marcus stepped in front of her. Wayne smiled. "You really don't know when to leave, do you?" Marcus's voice remained calm. "Your truck is easy to recognize." Wayne looked toward Clara's phone. "Give me that." "No," Clara said. Wayne took a step. Marcus matched it. Wayne stopped. "You planning on hitting me, Marcus?" "No." "You're trespassing." Clara answered. "He isn't." Wayne laughed. "You don't control this parcel anymore." Clara stared at him. What does that mean? Wayne realized too late that he had said too much. Marcus noticed. Clara did too. She lifted the phone. "Who controls it?" Wayne's face hardened. "Put that phone down." "Who controls this parcel?" "Wayne, you need to leave. This land belongs to my family. For now." Clara went pale. Marcus kept his eyes on Wayne. "Friday?" Wayne said nothing. Marcus understood. "Brad is forcing foreclosure. Wayne tightened his grip on the tire iron. Marcus continued. He drains the ranch accounts, invents losses, steals equipment, frames me. Bank panics. Wayne's eyes shifted, and West Meridian buys the land. Still nothing. Marcus took another step. For mineral rights. Wayne smiled coldly. You were always smarter than Brad gave you credit for. Clara's phone was recording. Marcus knew it. Wayne did not. Clara asked, how much? Wayne looked at her. What? How much did Brad sell our family for? Wayne scoffed. Your family was already broke. That's not what I asked. Brad did what Arthur should have done years ago. What? Turned dirt into money. Clara looked as if Wayne had struck her. My father built this ranch and died clinging to it. Wayne pointed toward the quarry. There's gas under the north pasture. There's likely oil under the west ridge. West Meridian will pay more for what's under this ranch than cattle will produce in 50 years. So Brad sabotaged the ranch. Wayne laughed. Sabotaged? He moved closer. He accelerated the inevitable. Marcus glanced toward Clara. Keep him talking. She understood. You used Marcus's security code. Wayne's smile widened. Brad gave me every code I needed. There. Marcus felt no satisfaction, only cold certainty. Wayne continued before realizing how much he was giving them. We moved. 3 saddles and an old trailer, Clara. Nobody died. You destroyed a man's reputation. Wayne shrugged. He would have survived. Marcus's expression changed. Wayne saw it. For the first time, his confidence weakened. Marcus spoke softly. My name isn't something you borrow for a scheme. Wayne raised the tire iron. You want to lecture me? No. Marcus stepped closer. I want you to put that down. Wayne swung. It happened quickly. Marcus moved sideways. The tire iron missed his shoulder. Marcus caught Wayne's wrist with both hands and drove it downward. Wayne grunted. They struggled. Clara backed away and called Sheriff Miller. Wayne punched Marcus in the ribs. Marcus stumbled. Wayne pulled free and raised the iron again. Marcus rushed him before he could swing. Both men crashed against the ford. Metal shook. Wayne's elbow struck Marcus's cheek. Blood appeared immediately. Marcus drove his forearm into Wayne's chest. The tire iron fell. Wayne reached for it. Marcus kicked it away. Enough! Wayne lunged. Marcus caught him and turned. Wayne hit the ground hard. Marcus pinned one arm behind his back. Wayne cursed. Marcus leaned closer. You stay down. In the distance came the faint sound of sirens. Wayne stopped struggling. Clara stood near the shed door with her phone. Marcus looked at her. You okay? She nodded. You? Marcus wiped blood from his cheek. I've had worse from horses. 2 sheriff cruisers arrived 8 minutes later. Miller stepped out with his sidearm ready. He found Marcus standing several yards from Wayne. Wayne sat against the ford with his hands visible. The tire iron lay in the dirt. Clara walked directly to Miller. I recorded him. Wayne's face changed. Miller looked at him. What did you record? Enough. Clara played the audio. Brad gave me every code I needed. Miller looked toward Wayne, then toward the shed. A deputy opened the door fully. The saddles were visible. The trailer. Survey. Equipment. Several boxes marked West Meridian Resource Development. Miller removed his hat. Well, Wayne tried to stand. I want a lawyer. Miller nodded. That would be wise. He handcuffed him. Wayne looked at Marcus. You think you won? Marcus said nothing. You have no idea how deep this goes. Miller stopped. Marcus's eyes narrowed. Wayne smiled. Ask Clara what's on the ranch debt schedule. Clara stepped forward. What are you talking about? Wayne laughed. The foreclosure isn't fake. Miller pushed him toward the cruiser. What does that mean? Wayne looked over his shoulder. Brad didn't create all the debt. Then the cruiser door closed. Clara stood motionless. Marcus looked at her. What debt schedule? I don't know. Clara, I don't know. But she looked afraid. Back at the ranch, Brad was gone. His SUV was missing. The main office safe was open. Several files had been removed. Sheriff Miller issued an alert. Clara unlocked Arthur's old office. She had avoided the room since his funeral. His hat still hung from a wooden peg. A pair of reading glasses rested beside the desk. Marcus remained near the doorway. This feels wrong, Clara whispered. Looking through his things? Yes. He'd rather you look than lose the ranch. She sat. The desk drawers held old cattle, registrations, deeds, tax receipts, loan agreements. Clara searched for 2 hours. Nothing. Then Marcus noticed an old leather ledger wedged behind the bottom drawer. Clara. She pulled it free. Arthur's handwriting filled the pages. Not financial records. Personal notes, some about cattle, some about workers, some about Brad. March 12th. Brad asked again about mineral lease. Told him no. April 4th. Victoria believes Brad is trying to modernize ranch. I do not trust West Meridian. April 28th. Found discrepancy in operating line. Asked Victoria. She became defensive. May 3rd. Marcus says survey trucks using Western Road. Told him to log plates. Marcus stared at that sentence. Arthur had known. Clara turned pages quickly, then stopped. May 18th. Victoria came alone. Cried. Says Brad used her signature on loan guarantee. Says she is afraid. I told her we will fix it. Clara covered her mouth. Marcus stood silent. Her sister had died 4 months later. She kept reading. June 2nd. Met attorney Thomas Avery. Created protective amendment. If Brad or any spouse beneficiary engages in fraud against ranch or estate, all management authority suspended pending review. Clara looked at Marcus. Protective amendment. Where is it? She flipped pages. Arthur had written, original with Avery. Copy in blue document case. Clara stood immediately. The attorney. It was nearly 10 at night when Judge Thomas Avery answered Clara's call. He had been Arthur's attorney for 30 years. He was also 76 and unimpressed by emergencies after bedtime, until Clara told him Wayne had been arrested. Then he was fully awake. Yes, Avery said. Your father created an amendment. Why didn't you tell us? I did. When? At the estate meeting. Brad said everything went through Victoria's trust. Avery went silent. What? When was the last time you attended a full estate meeting in person? Clara looked at Marcus. Dad's funeral. Week. Then you missed the meeting 6 weeks later. Brad told me it had been postponed. It was not. Clara closed her eyes. Avery continued. Brad presented a power of attorney document indicating you had authorized him to vote your interest temporarily. I never signed anything like that. I suspected as much. Why didn't you call me? I did. 3 times. Your office told me you were traveling. Clara stared toward the main house. Brad had controlled the office staff. Avery's voice grew harder. Clara, I think we need to stop speaking on the phone. Can you come here? I can be at Sterling Ranch at 8 tomorrow morning. Bring the amendment. I'll bring everything. Marcus stepped outside after the call. Clara followed. The ranch lay dark beneath a bright moon. You should rest, Marcus said. Clara laughed bitterly. Brad lied about the meetings, forged my authority. My sister was afraid of him. And apparently my father knew something was happening before he died. Marcus leaned against the porch rail. He tried to protect you. I should have been here. You were here. No. She shook her head. I was treating horses and pretending I didn't understand the business side because it reminded me of Victoria. I let Brad handle all of it. Marcus said nothing. She looked at him. You can say it. Say what? That I failed. No. Marcus, you trusted family. He wasn't family. Your sister thought he was. Clara looked away. Marcus continued. Trust isn't stupidity. She laughed without humor. That sounds like something Dad would say. No. Marcus looked across the pasture. He'd say something longer. Clara smiled despite herself. They stood together in silence. After several minutes, she noticed something. You're still carrying the buckle. Marcus touched his jacket pocket. Yes. Why didn't you put it back on? He looked toward the barn where he had nearly been arrested. Not yet. At 8 the next morning, Judge Avery arrived. So did Sheriff Miller. So did 2 state investigators. Brad had still not been found. They gathered in Arthur's office. Avery placed several folders on the desk. The first contained Arthur's protective amendment. The second contained loan documents. The third contained something worse. Brad had borrowed against Victoria's inherited share of Sterling Ranch, then borrowed again, then used ranch operating accounts as collateral for short-term private financing. Some documents appeared legitimate, some did not. Clara stared at the pages. How much? Avery looked at her. Approximately $1.8 million. The room went silent. Clara whispered, "The ranch can't absorb that." No. Marcus asked, "Where did the money go?" One state investigator answered, "That's what we're determining." Avery opened another file. Your father discovered part of this before his death. Why didn't he stop it? He tried. Avery hesitated. Arthur intended to remove Brad from management. What happened? He suffered a heart attack 2 days before the board meeting. Clara went still. Marcus looked at Avery. Natural? As far as anyone knows. Sheriff Miller noticed the question. Let's not invent crimes we don't have evidence for. Marcus nodded. Avery continued. After Arthur died, Brad used Victoria's estate authority to strengthen his control. Clara asked. But Victoria was already dead. Yes. And Brad inherited her share? Not exactly. Avery pulled out the will. Victoria had a life interest trust structure because Arthur never fully trusted Brad. On her death, her voting interest was supposed to divide between surviving family beneficiaries. Clara stared, meaning me. Primarily you. Brad knew? Of course. Then how did he control it? The investigator answered. Forgery is one possibility. Miller placed the security company report on the table. And we already have one forged access trail. The alarm manufacturer had recovered deleted information. At 1:58 a.m., an administrator account accessed Marcus's PIN. At 2:11, Marcus's PIN was entered at the equipment shed. At 2:16, the security history was manually purged. The administrator login belonged to Brad Sterling. Clara looked at Marcus. There was no triumph in his face, only exhaustion. Miller exhaled. That clears you. Marcus asked, legally? Completely. Miller extended his hand. Marcus shook it. I owe you more than an apology. No. Yes. Miller glanced toward the front yard. I almost put you in cuffs in front of everybody who respected you. You followed what looked like evidence. I followed it too quickly. Marcus held his gaze. The next time, follow longer. Miller nodded. Fair enough. The investigator's phone rang. He answered, listened, then turned toward Miller. They found Brad's SUV. Where? Abandoned at a motel outside Sweetwater. Brad? Gone. Clara's face tightened. Marcus asked, any other vehicle? Security footage shows him getting into a black SUV around 4 this morning. Marcus and Clara looked at each other. West Meridian, the investigator noticed. What? Clara explained the SUV at the quarry. Miller immediately called dispatch. Within an hour, state police identified the vehicle as registered to West Meridian Resource Development. But the company denied knowledge of Brad's whereabouts. Its attorney claimed the employees operating at Sterling Ranch were involved in preliminary mineral evaluations and knew nothing about fraud. Marcus did not believe that. Neither did Clara. By noon, another problem arrived. The bank. 2 representatives entered the ranch office carrying documents. One was a woman named Elaine Porter, Senior Agricultural Lending Officer. She looked genuinely uncomfortable. Clara, I'm sorry. Are you freezing the accounts? We're required to. Avery stepped between them. Fraud has been established. Fraud suspends certain triggers. It does not erase legitimate debt. How much is legitimate? Enough. Clara looked at her. Meaning? Elaine opened a folder. The ranch has approximately $900,000 in obligations unrelated to the disputed transactions. Marcus frowned. Arthur carried debt, but not that much. Equipment financing, operating line, feed, veterinary costs, previous refinancing. Clara sat. When is the next required payment? Friday, 2 days. How much? $280,000. Clara gave a small laugh. It was the laugh of someone hearing a number so large that panic temporarily becomes disbelief. We don't have that. Elaine did not answer. Clara knew what that meant. Marcus asked, if fraud is proven, can the bank extend? I can request emergency forbearance. Will they approve it? I don't know. The victory from the quarry suddenly felt smaller. Brad could go to prison, Marcus could be innocent, and Sterling Ranch could still disappear. That afternoon, the workers gathered outside the barn. Rumors had spread. Payroll, bankruptcy, Brad, arrests, West Meridian. Marcus walked toward them. Some men looked ashamed. The oldest mechanic, Earl Jenkins, removed his cap. Marcus stopped. Earl stared at the ground. I should have said something yesterday. Marcus waited. When Brad accused you, you didn't know. I knew you. That landed differently. Several workers nodded. A younger cowboy named Luis stepped forward. Same here. Marcus looked around. Men who had avoided his eyes yesterday now faced him. He could have punished them. He could have made them feel small. Instead, he said, Brad wanted everybody scared. Nobody spoke. He wanted me angry. Wanted you afraid for your jobs. Wanted Clara isolated. That's how men like him work. Marcus looked toward the main house. They turn people against one another so nobody notices what they're stealing. Earl asked, are we losing the ranch? Marcus did not lie. Maybe. The word moved through the group. But we aren't losing it today. Luis looked at him. What do we do? Marcus paused. He was no longer foreman. Legally, Brad had fired him. Clara walked from behind the group. You listen to Marcus. He turned. She held Arthur's amendment. As acting controlling heir, I'm suspending Brad Sterling's management authority under my father's estate protections. She looked directly at Marcus. And I'm reinstating Marcus Vance as general foreman, effective immediately. The workers erupted. Not loudly, but enough. Marcus looked at Clara. I thought the board had to approve. It does. When? Tomorrow. And until then? She smiled slightly. I own more voting interest than Brad. Marcus nodded. Then we work. For the next 24 hours, Sterling Ranch moved like it had not moved in years. Marcus reorganized cattle sales. Clara contacted buyers. Old equipment that had been scheduled for replacement was repaired instead. Feed deliveries were renegotiated. A neighboring rancher offered short-term grazing space. Earl found a broken irrigation pump that had been costing hundreds in wasted water every week. Luis discovered that Brad had scheduled unnecessary contract work through a company owned by one of Wayne's friends. Every small leak mattered, but not enough. By Thursday evening, Clara had raised $94,000. They still needed nearly $200,000. She sat at Arthur's desk, staring at spreadsheets. Marcus entered carrying 2 cups of coffee. You eat? No. That wasn't the question. She looked at him. Yes, it was. He put a cup beside her. Bank? Still reviewing. Buyers. Best cattle buyer can wire $70,000 tomorrow. We sell? If we sell too many breeding cows, we hurt next year. Marcus nodded. What about the west parcel? Clara stared. What? Lease it. To West Meridian? No. Marcus sat. Wind. She blinked. The ridge? High, constant wind. Power companies surveyed neighboring land 3 years ago. How do you know? I fixed their survey truck. Clara stared at him. Marcus shrugged. You learn things fixing trucks. She almost laughed. A wind lease takes months. Unless somebody already studied it. Clara straightened. Marcus continued. Arthur rejected oil and gas. Didn't mean he rejected renewable lease. Clara opened her father's files. They searched. 20 minutes later, they found a folder. High Plains Wind Cooperative. A preliminary proposal. 5 wind turbines on 320 acres. Upfront signing payment. $250,000. Clara stared at the date. Arthur had received it 18 months earlier. A handwritten note sat on top. Talk to Clara when she's ready. Her eyes filled. Marcus looked away to give her privacy. She wiped her face. Why didn't he tell me? Maybe he planned to. She picked up the phone. The company still existed. The representative remembered Arthur. And after hearing what was happening, agreed to come the next morning. For the first time in 2 days, Clara looked hopeful. Then Sheriff Miller called. Brad had been found. At 9:40 Thursday night, state troopers stopped a West Meridian SUV 60 miles east of Midland. Brad was inside. So was the suited man from the quarry. His name was Charles Denton, Regional Acquisition Director. Both were detained. But the bigger revelation came from Denton. Faced with possible conspiracy charges, he started talking. West Meridian had not officially authorized fraud. According to Denton, Brad approached him first. Brad promised distressed acquisition. Brad promised foreclosure. Brad promised family control. Denton had authorized preliminary surveys, knowing the situation was ethically questionable, but claimed he did not know Brad was forging documents. Investigators did not entirely believe him, but Denton produced emails. Dozens. One stood out. From Brad to Wayne. Once Vance is out, nobody on that property knows the west access roads well enough to interfere. Marcus read it twice when Miller showed him Friday morning. That was why. Not because Brad hated him, not only because of prejudice, not only because Marcus was convenient. Marcus had been removed because he knew the land too well. Brad had understood something Arthur had always known. Marcus protected Sterling Ranch simply by paying attention. The wind company representative arrived at 10. By 11:30, Clara and Avery had a conditional agreement. $250,000 upon execution of an exclusive 90-day development option. The bank representative joined by video call. They were still $30,000 short of the required payment after legal costs. Marcus looked at Clara. How much in the emergency cattle reserve? Nothing. Personal? Marcus, how much? I can put in 12. Avery offered 5. Elaine from the bank surprised everyone. If you can reach within 10,000, I may be able to restructure the remainder under emergency agricultural relief provisions. They needed 13,000. Nobody spoke. Marcus walked out. Clara followed him. He opened his truck. From beneath the rear seat, he pulled a metal box. Inside were years of savings, not cash, documents, a certificate of deposit. Clara looked at the amount, $18,400. No. Marcus looked at her. No what? You are not putting your savings into this ranch. I'm putting 13. No. Clara. You spent 15 years working here and Brad nearly destroyed your life yesterday. Brad isn't Sterling Ranch. That money is yours. So is this place. She stared at him. Marcus looked toward the fence his father had helped build decades ago. My father worked Sterling land 32 years. I know. He never owned an acre. Marcus touched the old wood. But when he died, Arthur told me something. Clara waited. He said a deed tells the county who owns land. It doesn't tell the land who belongs to it. Clara's eyes filled again. Marcus continued. This place fed my family, buried my father, gave me work when nobody wanted me. He handed her the certificate. I'm not paying Brad's debt. Marcus looked toward Arthur's house. I'm protecting what he tried to steal. Clara slowly took it. By 1:15 Friday afternoon, Sterling Ranch made the payment. The bank approved a 90-day restructuring period. No foreclosure, no frozen payroll, no auction. When the confirmation arrived, nobody celebrated immediately. Clara simply sat down. Marcus leaned against the wall. Elaine smiled. Avery removed his glasses. Then Earl, standing near the doorway, realized what had happened. We keeping the ranch? Clara looked up. Yes. Earl shouted so loudly the horses in the nearby barn startled. Within seconds, word spread. Cowboys came out of the corrals. Mechanics left the workshop. Office staff poured onto the porch. For the first time since Brad's accusation, Sterling Ranch sounded alive. Marcus stayed inside. He opened his jacket. The silver buckle was still in his pocket. He held it. Arthur's words returned. That horse trusted you. Clara appeared beside him. You going to put it back on? Marcus looked outside. Not yet. She smiled. You're stubborn. So, I've been told. The board meeting took place Monday morning. Brad attended by video from county custody. His attorney sat beside him. Wayne did not attend. Neither did Denton. Judge Avery presented the estate amendment. State investigators presented preliminary findings. The bank presented the restructuring. Clara presented the West Meridian communications. Brad denied everything. He blamed Wayne. He blamed Denton. He blamed the accountant. Finally, he blamed Marcus. Vance manipulated all of you. Marcus sat quietly near the back. Brad pointed toward the camera. That man has wanted control of this ranch for years. Nobody responded. Brad became louder. He thinks because Arthur liked him, he deserves a piece of sterling property. Clara looked toward Marcus. He remained silent. Brad continued. He is an employee. That is all he has ever been. An elderly board member named Samuel Reeves leaned forward. Brad stopped. Samuel had known Arthur Sterling for 47 years. You know what Arthur said about Marcus? Brad scoffed. I don't care. That is your problem? The room became silent. Samuel continued. Arthur once told me Marcus Vance knew Sterling land better than every Sterling born after him. Brad rolled his eyes. Samuel looked toward Clara. And Arthur was right. Avery stood. Under the Fraud Protection Amendment, Brad Sterling's management authority is permanently suspended pending criminal resolution. Brad's face hardened. Avery continued. Furthermore, documents obtained from the security company and state investigators demonstrate probable fraudulent conduct against the estate. Brad started shouting. His attorney muted the connection. Several board members nearly smiled. Then Clara stood. There is one final matter. Marcus frowned. Nobody had told him about another matter. Clara held a folder. My father left instructions that were not included in the general will because they were conditional. Marcus stared. Avery nodded. Clara continued. The instructions concerned future operational control. Brad's screen remained muted, but his face changed. Clara read, If Marcus Vance remains employed at Sterling Ranch at the time of my death, and if the acting family management determines that he has continued to perform his duties with loyalty and integrity, I request that he be offered a permanent executive position in ranch operations. Marcus looked down. Clara continued. My father also authorized the estate board to grant Marcus an equity interest of up to 10%. Marcus looked up sharply. Clara smiled. Dad planned this before any of us knew what Brad was doing. Marcus shook his head. I can't accept 10%. Brad's attorney unmuted the feed by accident. Brad laughed. Of course he can. His attorney quickly muted him again. Clara ignored it. Why not? Because Arthur's grandchildren, there aren't any. Future family. This ranch nearly disappeared because everybody kept deciding Marcus Vance was allowed to protect it, but not belong to it. The words landed heavily. Clara walked toward him. I'm done with that. Marcus looked around the table. This isn't necessary. Samuel Reeves laughed. Son, necessary and deserved are not always the same thing. Clara held out the document. 5% immediately. Marcus stared. Not 10? I knew you'd argue. Several board members laughed. Clara continued. Another 5 available over 5 years based on continued operational leadership. Marcus looked at Avery. The attorney nodded. It is legally sound. Marcus looked at Clara. You planned that? Yes. When? After you tried to give me your life savings. It was $13,000. That was your life savings. Most of it. Exactly. She handed him a pen. Marcus looked at the signature line. He thought of his father. He thought of Arthur. He thought of the morning Brad had told him he would never own the land beneath his boots. Marcus signed. The board approved unanimously. The following weeks brought investigations, attorneys, subpoenas, and news crews. Brad Sterling was charged with fraud, conspiracy, grand theft, forgery, and financial crimes connected to the ranch. Wayne reached a plea agreement. Charles Denton and West Meridian faced separate investigations over their involvement. The ranch accountant surrendered records proving Brad had diverted hundreds of thousands of dollars through shell companies. Some money was recovered. Some was gone forever. But Sterling Ranch survived. And slowly, the place returned to what it had been before Brad turned every conversation into a financial threat. Cattle moved across the northern pasture. Fence crews repaired the west boundary. The medical barn delivered 3 healthy foals. The old quarry was sealed pending investigation. And on a warm September evening, nearly 6 weeks after Marcus had almost been handcuffed in front of the main barn, he stood beside the same sheriff cruiser. Miller had come to return the last items held as evidence: the forged transfer document, a copy of the access log, Marcus's employment records. Miller closed the evidence box. That's everything. Marcus nodded. Miller hesitated. One more thing. What? Miller looked toward the barn. I've thought a lot about that morning. Marcus waited. I knew your character. Evidence looked bad. I know. Miller shook his head. But Brad spoke with confidence and you didn't. Marcus almost smiled. I spoke. You know what I mean. Miller leaned against the cruiser. Brad acted like a man who expected to be believed. Marcus looked toward the pasture. Some men spend their whole life practicing that. Miller nodded. And some men expect the truth to speak for itself. Marcus looked back at him. Truth needs help sometimes. Seems like it. They shook hands. Miller drove away. Marcus remained near the hitching post. The afternoon sun had turned the dirt orange. He could still remember exactly where Brad had stood, exactly where the workers had gathered, exactly where the white envelope had landed. Clara walked toward him from the barn. You're brooding. I'm standing. You stand like you're brooding. Marcus looked at her. She smiled. He noticed she was carrying something behind her back. What's that? Nothing? That's rarely true when somebody says it while hiding something. She brought her hand forward. Marcus's Haas silver championship buckle. He instinctively touched his belt. A plain work buckle was there. How'd you get that? You left it in the conference room after the board meeting. Marcus looked at the silver. I thought I put it in my desk. You didn't. She handed it toward him. He did not take it immediately. Clara tilted her head. Marcus, I know. It's been 6 weeks. I know. Dad gave you this because he respected you. I know. Brad doesn't get to change what it means. Marcus looked at her. That was the problem, not the buckle. Not really. The morning of the accusation had attached something else to it. Humiliation. For a few seconds, when he placed it on Miller's cruiser, Marcus had believed 15 years could disappear because one man told a convincing lie. He had believed Arthur's faith in him could be buried beneath a security log and forged signature. Clara seemed to read something in his silence. My father wasn't wrong about you. Marcus's eyes remained on the buckle. No. Then put it back. Marcus took it. The silver was warm from her hand. He unfastened his plain buckle, replaced it. The Lone Star engraving caught the setting sun. Clara smiled. There. Marcus looked down. Feels heavier. Maybe because you own part of the dirt now. He laughed. A real laugh. Clara began walking toward the front pasture. Come on. Where? I need to show you something. They crossed the ranch road. Workers waved as they passed. No one called Marcus foreman anymore. Some called him boss. He hated that. Most had switched to Marcus. He preferred it. They reached a ridge overlooking the north pasture. 5 temporary survey flags stood along the hill. Marcus recognized the marking. Wind Company? Approved preliminary testing. He looked out across the land. 5 turbines might stand there someday. Maybe not. But the lease alone had bought Sterling ranch time. Clara leaned against the fence. The bank approved the long-term restructuring. Marcus turned. When? This afternoon. You waited until now to tell me? Yes. Why? Because I wanted to see your face. Marcus shook his head. What are the terms? Manageable. That isn't a number. You really know how to ruin a moment. What are the terms? She laughed. I'll show you tomorrow. They watched cattle move toward water. After a while, Clara spoke. Do you ever think about leaving? Marcus looked at her. Leaving where? The ranch. No. Never? I thought about it 6 weeks ago. When Brad fired you? For about 12 minutes. She smiled. What stopped you? Marcus looked toward the old fence. My father. Memory? Sort of. He rested his hands on the top rail. When I was 15, I complained that he worked too hard for land he didn't own. Clara listened. I told him Arthur got the ranch and Dad got a bad back. What did he say? Marcus smiled. He told me ownership wasn't the only measure of a life. Clara waited. He said if your work leaves something stronger than you found it, then part of you owns the result whether your name is on paper or not. Clara looked across the pasture. Sounds like your father. You never met him. Dad talked about him. Marcus turned. What did Arthur say? That Elijah Vance was the only man he knew who could repair a windmill with baling wire, 2 nails and profanity. Marcus laughed. That sounds more accurate. Clara smiled. For a while they stood without talking. The sun fell behind the western ridge. The land turned gold, then amber, then deep red. Marcus looked toward the old main barn. 6 weeks earlier, he had stood there, accused of stealing from a family he had spent 15 years protecting. The ranch hands had watched. The sheriff had carried handcuffs. Brad had told him he was nothing but hired help. For years, Marcus had believed dignity came from refusing to let another man's contempt change the way he carried himself. He still believed that. But now he understood something else. Silence could protect dignity. It could also protect lies. If Clara had stayed silent that morning, Marcus might have gone to jail. If Marcus had ignored strange survey trucks, Brad might have succeeded. If Arthur had never written his suspicions down, Brad's forged authority might have lasted longer. Truth did not always arrive on its own. Sometimes it needed a witness. Sometimes it needed a ledger. Sometimes it needed a woman standing in a driveway saying, "I saw what happened." And sometimes it needed a man who had been humiliated in front of everyone to return to the same land the next morning and keep working. Clara broke the silence. You know what Dad would say if he could see all this? Marcus looked at her. He'd complain about the cost of the wind survey. She laughed. Probably. And then he'd tell me the north fence needs work. It does. I know. Clara shook her head. You really can't stop being foreman. I'm operational partner now. Worse. Marcus smiled. The first stars appeared. Clara began walking back toward the house. Marcus remained at the fence. She turned after several steps. You coming, partner? Marcus looked at her. Not Miss Clara. Not the owner's daughter. Partner. Something had changed between them. Not romance. Not yet, perhaps. Something deeper than that. Trust rebuilt under pressure. Respect stripped of hierarchy. A shared promise to protect something both had almost lost. Marcus touched the silver buckle. Then he looked toward the land, stretching into darkness. His father had once told him that if a man took care of the land would eventually take care of him. Marcus had never taken the words literally. Land did not judge. Land did not forgive. Land did not know one man's name from another. But standing there, with a piece of Sterling Ranch legally carrying his own name for the first time, Marcus wondered if his father had meant something different. Maybe land remembered through people. Through fences repaired by hands that were now gone. Through barns built by fathers and sons. Through horses trained with patience. Through daughters who returned home. Through men who chose to defend a place even after being told they did not belong there. Marcus looked once more toward the barn where Brad had tried to destroy him. Then he followed Clara home. The next spring came, early. Bluebonnets appeared along the south pasture in patches of deep violet and blue. Rain filled the creek. The cattle market improved. The ranch made its first profitable quarter in nearly 2 years. Clara reorganized the financial office and required 2 signatures on every large transaction. Nobody complained. Marcus hired 2 young ranch hands from a technical agriculture program. One of them, 17-year-old Isaiah Cole, reminded Marcus of himself at that age. Quiet, watchful, always arriving early. One afternoon, Marcus found Isaiah repairing a section of fence alone. You know you can ask for help. Isaiah looked embarrassed. I wanted to prove I could do it. Marcus crouched beside the brace. You put this post too shallow. Isaiah's face fell. Marcus handed him the shovel. Dig it out. Yes, sir. And stop calling me sir. Yes, Marcus. Together they reset the post. When they finished, Isaiah looked across the pasture. My mom says I got lucky getting this job. You did. Isaiah laughed nervously. Marcus smiled. So did I once. Working here? Long time ago. Isaiah hesitated. Everybody talks about what happened with Brad. Marcus kept wrapping wire. What do they say? That he tried to frame you. True. That the sheriff almost arrested you. True. That Clara saved you. Marcus paused. She helped. Isaiah waited. Marcus tightened the wire. But nobody saves anybody alone. He looked at the young man. Remember that? Isaiah nodded, though Marcus was not sure he understood yet. He would someday. That evening, Marcus entered the main office and found Clara standing over a letter. What? She looked up. You're going to like this. I don't like that sentence. She handed him the paper. The state had concluded its investigation into West Meridian. The company had agreed to pay substantial civil penalties and restitution connected to unauthorized activities on Sterling land. Part of the money would return to the ranch. Marcus read the amount. That covers the remaining emergency loan? Yes. And repairs? Yes. And winter feed? Yes. Marcus put the letter down. So why do I feel like you're about to spend it? Clara smiled. Because I am. No. You don't even know on what. Doesn't matter. She pulled out another document. Marcus read the heading. Sterling Vance Agricultural Scholarship Fund. He stared at her. What is this? Dad had a small education trust. For family. He never restricted it to family. Marcus kept reading. Scholarships for young agricultural workers from Nolan County. Priority for ranch hands and their children. He looked at Clara. Why Sterling Vance? Because I put both names on it. Take mine off. No. Clara, you donated $13,000 to save a ranch that had just fired. Technically, you reinstated me? After. That's true. She leaned against the desk. My father built the ranch. Your father helped him. You protected it. I inherited it. She shrugged. Both names stay. Marcus sighed. You're stubborn. So I've been told. They smiled. The following year, the first scholarship went to Earl Jenkins' granddaughter. The second went to a ranch hand's son studying veterinary medicine. The third went to Isaiah. Sterling Ranch changed. Not quickly, not perfectly, but deliberately. Arthur's portrait remained above the main fireplace. Victoria's photograph returned to the family hall after Clara had spent months unable to look at it. Brad's name disappeared from company records. His trial ended with a plea agreement that required restitution and a prison sentence. Wayne moved away after serving a shorter sentence. Nobody on Sterling land spoke about them much. The ranch had learned enough about giving bad men more space than they deserved. 5 years later, Marcus stood on the same gravel driveway where Sheriff Miller had once opened a pair of handcuffs. The barn had been repainted. The old equipment shed replaced. Solar panels covered part of the veterinary building. 3 wind turbines turned slowly along the distant north ridge. Clara walked toward him, carrying a folder. Don't. She stopped. What? You have that look. What look? The look you get before changing my job. Clara laughed. You're safe. What's the folder? Annual report? Leave it in the office. I was going to. Good. She noticed the silver buckle. You still wear it every day. Marcus looked down. Most days. She smiled. A group of young ranch hands rode out through the south gate. Isaiah led them. Now 22, he had returned after completing his degree in agricultural management. Marcus watched him disappear into the pasture. Clara followed his gaze. You think Dad would approve? Of Isaiah? Of all of it. Marcus looked at the ranch. Cattle, barns, workers, wind turbines, new fences beside old ones. People who had known Arthur and people born after he died. Yes, Clara nodded. I think so too. She started toward the office. Marcus called after her. Clara. She turned. It had taken him almost a year after becoming partner to stop calling her Miss Clara. At first, she had corrected him every time. Eventually, the old habit disappeared. What? Marcus looked toward the western ridge. The quarry road needs grading. She stared at him. 5 years, and that is what you have to say? You asked if Arthur would approve. Clara laughed. He absolutely would. She walked away. Marcus remained by the hitching post. 5 years earlier, Brad Sterling had stood in almost that exact place and told Marcus that he would never own 1 inch of the land beneath his boots. Brad had been wrong, but not for the reason Marcus once thought. The 5% stake mattered. The later increase mattered. His name on legal documents mattered. But ownership had never really been the victory. The victory was that Brad had failed to make Marcus doubt who he was. He had almost succeeded. For one terrible morning, Marcus had looked at the men avoiding his eyes and wondered whether 15 years of character could truly be erased by 15 minutes of accusation. He now knew the answer. A lie could stain a reputation. It could wound it. It could make friends hesitate and strangers judge. But character was larger than reputation. Reputation was what people said when they looked at you. Character was what remained when nobody did. Marcus had walked toward handcuffs without begging. He had returned after humiliation without revenge. He had helped save the ranch without knowing whether he would ever receive anything from it. That was what Arthur had seen years earlier. Not a ranch hand, not an employee, a man who stayed when staying cost him something. Marcus touched the top rail of the hitching post. The wood had been replaced twice since that morning. Almost nothing looked exactly as it had. That seemed right. Places changed. People changed. What mattered was whether the change left something stronger behind. Marcus turned toward the barn. Somewhere inside, Isaiah was arguing with a feed supplier. Clara was probably rewriting his budget. Earl was pretending retirement meant working only 4 days a week. A foal cried from the medical bay. Marcus smiled. The ranch needed him, not because Arthur had said so, not because Clara had signed a document, not because a board had voted. Because tomorrow morning there would be fences to inspect, cattle to move, young workers to teach, bills to pay, and land to protect. Marcus walked toward the barn. The silver buckle caught the last light of the afternoon, and this time he did not take it off.